Good morning. Yeah, because I anyway started talking about him, let me finish that off. Though this is unscheduled kind of a beginning. I remember about 1.5 2 years ago, a student joined us with a background in digital anthropology. So he was anyway not writing the exam, but he wanted to join so that he would learn the basic concepts of anthropology so that they can be useful in his job. So that was the first time technically I got interested in that topic. And yeah, good morning all of you once again. So basically, uh, I mean, before beginning the talk and all, I have to welcome all those students who joined from the universities and a couple of faculty members and a couple of you who are PhD scholars and some of you who are from the technical background. And on that note, I should also welcome the technology partners of Sosin IAS Academy, that is RM Software Solutions. Thank you for joining. And a special thanks to you for providing us the technical support, whatever. And let me talk about a few things to begin with. First of all, I would want to tell you the way we are going to discuss things in this webinar, which I plan to do for about an hour and a half. I'm dividing this into two major parts. The first part, I'm going to discuss certain basic aspects, I mean, especially for those who are novice to the field of anthropology. And because of an special interest you have joined, or maybe the students who are in the beginning of studying anthropology and are inquisitive to know about what is digital all about this. And also the students who are from the university in the first year of undergraduation, etc., who are inquisitive about this. So some basic aspects I would be talking about. And after the first basic part, we will have a short quiz that you will be taking up. And I'm sure you will enjoy attempting that quiz. After this quiz, we will go to certain advanced topics of digital anthropology. And towards the end, once again, we are going to have a short quiz to just give a wrap up of whatever we have talked about in the next about 1.5 to 2 hours of session. And that's how it is. And basically, as far as the content is concerned, I have three things to talk about. Basically, about one is about emergence, evolution of digital anthropology. And see, when I'm scheduling the talk in this particular format, my major focus, of course, is on the students going for UPSC exam. So those of you who are not into UPSC kind of an exam setup, you need not have to feel disappointed because content, of course, will be useful for all the streams. But then when I'm towards the conclusion of the talk, when I'm going to discuss a few questions, put across a few questions, my focus is going to be on the students going for UPSC Civil Services exam. So the first and foremost thing we are going to talk about is emergence of digital anthropology, which across the time had experienced different titles. Second is going to be on applications and some of the technology tools that are used in this study. Third, of course, is some of the success stories or case studies in the field of digital anthropology. And of course, we have to talk about what exactly India has to do to catch up with the, population, huge amount of population to make use of this field of digital anthropology. So that's how the three major parts I would be talking about. People must be wondering, because now current time is the time of technological innovations and things like that. And people would wonder, why is it that anthropology, which is largely a social science, because when technology we are moving towards, a lot of social sciences we are trying to keep aside. And is it necessary that we study such kind of subjects? That's a major question. Forget alone digital anthropology, whether anthropology is necessary and social sciences, are they necessary? So I'm not here talking about, I'm not representing the whole lot of social sciences here. We are going to talk about anthropology and specifically digital anthropology, which is of the contemporary. So basically, I mean, it looks very interesting that we are all meeting here to talk about this subject on a digital platform that itself, showcases one, the importance of digitalization. Second thing is, what is it that we are talking about? Because you see, many of you must have had the first-hand experience of the so-called digital world as a part of your studies as a student, or maybe in the governance, in entertainment, in games, in economics, and not to forget politics, and also your relationships, and so on and so forth. I think at every part of your life, I mean, especially in the maybe perhaps last 5 to 6 years of time, huge number of you must have come across this. Now, I believe in storytelling, as some of you who were my students earlier know this, that I love storytelling, and stories, irrespective of what your age is, all of us love to listen to stories. So I thought I would begin my talk with a story. So let me, you can actually see where you are in this age line. So where are you in this age line? This is one categorization. You must have heard about Gen Z kind of. I think a good lot of you are, where are you? I mean, you are there in the Gen Z or millennials. At least I was, kind of close by to millennial. I don't want to give the exact timeline whatsoever. Maybe technically I was a Gen X. And I mean, my son is a post Gen Z. He was born in 2013. Yeah, most of you, I think, are Gen Z people belonging to 97 to 2012. But let me tell you, I belong to that generation that had seen huge lot of transformation of technology. Uh, we had seen the emergence of the World Wide Web, and how the World Wide Web transformed into the whole lot of things. And now we are at a stage where so much of technological innovation is happening, where we don't need people to to talk in order to hear their voice. We have voice coupling being done, or twinning of the voices, twinning of the faces. So much of innovation has happened. Now it has become difficult for us to know which is the reality and which is the one that is virtual. So when I'm saying this, I'm driving home this discussion to certain things such as which is the reality. I mean, at one point of time as children, we used to wonder, how can the other reality can be created? There's only one reality. But now we know that there's so many realities. whether that is virtual reality or other variants of realities, etc. So keeping this thing in mind, let me bring to you one interesting story with which I would want to begin my talk. This is the a real event that has happened in the Papua New Guinea region, Western Papua as we call. There is one typical valley called Belim Valley. In the Belim Valley related, there's one book that was written called People of the Valley. If at all somebody is interested, you can go back and see. That is People of the Valley, written by one lady called Win Sargent, W-Y-N, Win Sargent. Her name is Sargent. And this is a story which some of you who are into technical anthropology field. Yeah, that's right, Kalyani. Yeah, beta generation, alpha generation. These are the later versions that have come. That's true. Now I think your children, when you give birth to children, they would become the beta generation people. Now, I was talking about Win Sargent. This is the lady who was a journalist actually, and then self-trained anthropologist. This whole lot of story is about how ethnographic writing and research has revolutionized the anthropological writings. So this was the lady. I mean, some of you who must have heard about Yanomami tribe and the kind of researchers like Goodfellow who did the participant observation there. But in this particular case, I'm bringing this because how the cultural adjustment happens. Cultural adjustment not simply of the people who are receiving the culture, people who are going there to study culture, how they are adjusting their own personal life, not simply their careers, but how their personal lives are getting adjusted. So Win Sargent was somebody who had gone there to study some of the tribes of Western Papuan region. So that is where she had actually encountered a peculiar situation. She goes to study one of the tribes called the Yanalaga tribe, and huge number of other tribes are there. I'm not taking you into that discussion basically. So Analaga tribe had several enemy tribes also, and this lady when she wanted to go and study there, and this was a cultural disturbance basically. People were not really receptive to see the stranger. So there was a divide that had happened in the islanders. So one group of people supported her, and the other group of people were opposing her presence there. Because the reason why I'm saying this is certain terms are also considered to be abuses in certain cultures. For example, research. The word research in the Papua New Guinean vocabulary, research is an abuse. Because in research, you are going to get into their personal lives, and you are trying to understand, you are trying to go into their secret and a corner of life. So that's where they actually do not encourage people who come there for research. So when this lady had gone there to study basically the tribe of Analaga, when enemy tribes were there, and one of the tribal chiefs captures her, and when she wanted to negotiate, she offers herself as a wife of the chief, so she gets married. I mean, that is another extreme level of participant observation. She gets married to the tribal chief, which and after that, she tries to mediate, so the animosity reduces after she gets into this nuptial bond, and she continues with her research. Now the problem comes up. The Indonesian government gets a case from one of the tribes. They're saying that she, in the name of marriage, is trying to intrude into the tribal life, and she is actually getting all these tribal secrets out. Look at this. I mean, when I'm speaking about all this, I'm talking about one genre of anthropological research called participant observation, where the anthropologist is becoming a participant in that culture, and then she was actually, she was actually, if I can use this word, accused of getting married in order to study the secret sexual life of the tribe. I mean, that's where she was deported from that country, which she fights tooth and nail. When I'm speaking about all this, this was something that was happening during 1970s and 80s, where participant observation was majorly taken. Now, we have had a long journey. I mean, this is one story with which I wanted to begin the talk. In the last about 40, 50 years of time, anthropology had evolved a huge lot. Now, this is where I thought I would talk about the beginnings, the origins of what we call the digital anthropology. So those of you who are the students of anthropology who had already studied anthropological theory, you know the emergence of different schools of thought. I'm not getting into all those schools of thought, but then when it comes to digital anthropology, the relevant relevant subfields or relevant theories that are pertinent for us to recall here. I'm bringing you 3 or 4 major schools of thought that are very much relevant in digital anthropology, so that when you are trying to write questions, attempt answers in digital anthropology related field, you will be bringing them into the discussion. Let me also tell you, especially for the students of UPSC, every year we see some new kind of technical subject, something like a bolt from the blue, at least one question coming in the exam, by which students start to judge the subject, the question paper, saying that no, it has become very different from the previous years, etc. We are not getting into that discussion because I have to prepare you with the reason for starting this practice of webinars is especially for the senior students who must have studied a year or a couple of years ago, who may be interested in knowing what are the contemporary areas from where questions might come. So it is from that point of view I have picked up this particular topic also, that is digital anthropology, where I'm saying that 3 or 4 major schools of thought are there which are directly linked to the evolution of digital anthropology. One major person here is going to be Malinowski, who had introduced this very technical way of conducting scientific research in the field. So that is where he started to talk about, under the Boasian anthropology, what has to be the perspective based on which you are going to present the viewpoints. So when I'm saying perspectives, he was getting into the personal interviews that, an intensive kind of interviews that he was trying to do, and then intensive field note writing he was getting into. This was a major beginning, and that is still a part of anthropological research in the contemporary times. That also holds good for digital anthropology. Whether it is analog anthropology or digital anthropology, intensive kind of data collection is still the requirement now. How exactly you are going to pick up all those informations, what are the tools that we are going to use, that I'm going to talk about in a short while. Second major person who is very much pertinent in digital anthropology is Claude Levi-Strauss. People must be wondering, Levi-Strauss, somebody who was giving a very complex kind of presentation of culture, how is he relevant? See, if you could recall, if I could recall for you, Levi-Strauss was talking about the binary oppositions in the human thought, cognition and binary opposition. Now, this binary studies is very much relevant in computational techniques and digital studies. How exactly you are going to picturize the human thought So basically, that's what you are trying to do in today's times, in technology, in the binary opposites, in zeros and ones, blacks and whites. When you are trying to take a decision, see, in technology, there is no via media. Either it is correct or incorrect. When we are trying to, approach through artificial intelligence or any kind of robotic technologies, we have to give instructions either in right or wrong. The via media is what is called humanism. So we are at a time of post-humanism, basically. Technology has reached a stage of post-humanism, as we call, where the boundaries between human and technology seem to be blurring. Blurring of the boundaries is one of the topic that we should be talking about. But now when we are talking in the context of various schools of thought, Levi Strauss structuralism, where he spoke about binary opposites, goes very handy in the current discussions, where human thought process, inculcating the human thought process in various technological fields is something that is very much relevant today. And among the various things that Levi Strauss spoke about, communication is something that is very much, communication, and then perhaps symbols and myths. These are all the things that are still relevant. Everything said and done, what we are doing in technology field today is innovating different ways of communication. See, all of you who are now using different kinds of technologies, whether different kinds of social medias and communication, you must have seen how your language changed. Many times you are not writing the whole thing. Writing the entire expression is a old-fashioned, is an obsolete thing. Unfortunately, UPSC still depends on that obsolete thing. Uh, but then we stopped writing the whole thing. Many of us forgot the right spellings also. That is one more handicap that we are having. And at several places, we are simply giving the emojis, memes and emojis through which we are trying to communicate. When I'm saying all this, why am I saying this? Because that is how communication has been changing. And this is one of the things that we are doing in linguistic anthropology, how language is changing, how communication is changing. Is it not? And we will come to some of the terms also very soon in our conversation today. And I hope you're all there for the entire, I mean, for quite a long time, right? I mean, because I'm technically a teacher, I don't get off the mic before 3 hours ends, kind of. But and also that is how our movies also. I mean, movies these days increase at 3 hours time. I mean, three or 40 minutes also. I think Pushpa 2 has now reached 3 hour 40 minutes, a competition with us. Anyways, thank you so much for joining on a weekend. Weekends are very important for relaxation, and then I do not know whether I am giving the required relaxation to you, but for me the content was important. So basically, Levi Strauss, when he was talking about language, and see, if you remember, Levi Strauss gives one statement saying that mm, in order to get yourself accepted by people, you are supposed to use terminologies that are and then the grammar whatsoever that is acceptable by people. If at all you are not using the kind of terminologies, etc., you will not be accepted. Now, I got one statement for you. Let me bring that statement. This was a statement given by contemporary anthropologist called Catmull, who produces knowledge. In what language knowledge is produced, what purpose language is produced, and for whose benefit it is produced. I mean, this is a structuralist, contemporary structuralist, one of the followers of Levi Strauss structuralism, who is writing, who produces knowledge, in what language knowledge is produced, and with what purpose the knowledge is produced, and whose benefit for which. When I was picking up this statement from Catmull, I was actually thinking that where are we in India in terms of usage of language, in terms of production of knowledge? Are we somewhere did we come somewhere compromise on our language skills? Did we somewhere commit our own ethnocide I mean, especially in the context of language, because most of the time we started to use somebody else's language. I mean, when I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking in English. I know it's a lingua franca in a multilingualistic country like India, but why did we choose English? Kind of. I mean, we could have chosen English, but why did we compromise on our own languages? So, in which language are we creating our knowledge? That is also very important. Now, I'm trying to say so many things at the same time. I'm so sorry when I'm saying so many things simultaneously. But then, yeah, a structuralist anthropologist who is a student of, indirectly a student of Levi Strauss, is trying to point out this. When Levi Strauss said, we learn language, we accept grammar without thinking whether there is any scientific rule or not. The rules are not scientific in language. We follow them because we want to get accepted. Now, keep this aside. In that screen, when we had given categorization of people, the one who were born in 1960s, the one who were born in 2013, etc. Across these generations, language changed. I think you agree. Expression changed, communication changed. Now, when we are trying to communicate in emojis, people who might have born in 1960s or early 1970s, they may not be able to appreciate and understand the kind of emojis and expressions that we are trying to use. But then, as long as they accept the language change, communication change, they will be accepted into the contemporary generations. And hence, we are in a way training our senior generations also to use these kinds of communication so that they can survive in the current generations. I hope you accept this. When I'm speaking of all this, this is all the subject matter of digital anthropology. Now, apart from Levi Strauss, when we speak about the other people, for example, you must have heard about Margaret Mead. So apart from Levi Strauss, Margaret Mead is somebody who is very much important in digital anthropology because she had given rise to what we call visual anthropology, using pictures, using videos in ethnographic writings. So let me tell you this. In digital anthropology, we have two major things to study as a subject matter. One is uh, anthropology using, I mean, digital anthropology uses its techniques in order to study cultures, meaning how culture and technology are connected to one another. That is the subject matter. How human culture and technology, how they are connected. This is one subject matter. Second thing is anthropologists using digital technologies to study culture. I hope you're getting my point. So basically what happens is in digital anthropology, two topics are there that you generally study. One is the interconnection between culture and technology, which at different points of time had different names. At one point of time, it was cyborg anthropology. Now we are also having nanotechnological anthropology. We have digital anthropology. The underlying theme is human and technology connect. The second thing is using various technological tools in conducting research in anthropology. So in ethnography, we use terminology such as digital ethnography. So these are the two things that you have to keep in mind. The reason why I brought this discussion now is when Margaret Mead was conducting her field study, she used visual anthropology, which is now one of the subject matters of digital anthropology, that is using various technological tools in order to gather the data. And in contemporary times, if somebody is calling themselves digital anthropologists, These are the people who are trying to gather data from all those social media platforms and using various technological tools. Okay, there is an interaction. Yeah, she used camera, yeah, that was the beginning actually. Okay. Of course, she was an activist on, child abuse, drug abuse, world hunger, women rights, and all that is there. But more than anything else, for now, I mean, for today's talk, we are using her for her contribution in the technological world. This is the third major thinker. Fourth major thinker, fourth major school that becomes relevant to digital anthropology is Clifford Geertz. I mean, Geertz' work is really pertinent because entire study of Geertz revolved around some symbols or the other. Now, in digital anthropology, more than anything else, what we are focusing at is different symbols. One, that is used to communicate. Secondly, uh, various, myths or stories or colors or beliefs that are used as content of study in digital anthropology. Let me tell you something. I mean, as you are seeing my background, you can see the logo Sosin IAS Academy, academy there. Yeah. There are different colors that are used. There is an orange, there is a blue, and then above and below Sosin, there is some kind of a line there, one straight line, and then three different lines there. I mean, I have to talk about this because this is a symbol that we are using. As somebody was asking, what is it? There are three lines. You have in the bottom, you have given a straight line, and there are three different lines. What does it actually mean? I was trying to take this from the national emblem, the lion capital. Basically, those lines came from the lion capital. I mean, obviously, it doesn't communicate there, but that was the inspiration, basically. And we are trying to send a message through that particular emblem. Is it not? These are all symbols that have a meaning. So when Geertz was trying to study the symbols, he was trying to see what the symbol meant for the people who are using. And for an outsider, how exactly it communicated, some kind of an interpretation. So that's where interpretative anthropology we were talking about. So digital anthropology is something that uses interpretative anthropology in different levels of intensity. So I think you are getting an understanding now how various schools of thought can be used in digital anthropology, and somebody who is very much close to digital anthropology field is Clifford Geertz. Now, by the time Clifford Geertz came, we started to have advanced technologies in research. Uh, Basically, that's where we are. We see that when technological innovations are in the digital world started to become a part and parcel of anthropology, there we started to see two different worlds. Basically, when Malinowski was writing, he himself was presenting two worlds of himself. One is his professional world, the second one is the private world. When he was writing his own personal diary and the professional diary, field diary, he was having two worlds. His own world, where he was his own self. Second one is as a professional, what he was. Those were the two verses that he was mentioning. Now, in the digital world, you have, of course, two worlds primarily. So that's where we have Facebook anthropology. You are trying to show something to the world, and then you are something else. And then there's so many filters. We are not talking about the artificial filters. We are using the actual filters. How you would want others to see you in which skin tone you want to see, in which ambience you want the others to see. So many filters you are using, and uh, yeah, I got a picture for you. Let me show something. We come from Generation X, it takes some time bring things to you. So I'm sure you'll have the required patience with me. Yeah, these are the blurring boundaries. And can you see there? Where are you? I mean, are you on the screen or literally what you're physically eating? I mean, these days, when we go to the restaurants, we see people taking pictures, trying to post them in different platforms. And of course, whether the food is tasty or not, God alone knows. But you are trying to describe the whole thing, all that beautiful taste you're trying to describe. So I think that is where boundaries are blurred between the actual reality and virtual reality. Most of the time you are there in the virtual world. If a family goes to dinner that evening, all three members or four members of the family, they are busy in their virtual world, clicking and talking to people. Yes, more than anything else, people are looking for the social acceptance. And we have all those promoters, social promoters, and different titles, motivators, promoters, and different titles with which people are trying to, promote particular things. So here, and even when you go to different tourist places also, you are trying to click pictures and live you're trying to share with your friends, etc. I really wonder, are you really living that moment? Or you're trying to project to the rest of the world that, see, I have reached here. So all your indriyas, all your senses, are they really satisfied? Or you are simply happy getting that social acceptance? That's true, really. More than our own satisfaction, others' acceptance is more important for us. So ultimately, that's what we are trying to study in digital anthropology. What for the knowledge is created. So you are trying to have the digital footprint. I know man is a social animal, so uh, animal, that's a big term now. Hmm. Now I think we are cyborgs or cyborgs, whatever word that you would want to spell it as, cyborgs or cyborgs. I think we have in ourselves the extended technologies. There is an extension in the technological tool that has become a part of our body. We are not simply talking about the dental implants or the eye surgeries that has happened or some kind of a bone that has been, put as a part of an extension in your body. You have, these kinds of things without which, I mean, people, I see them going into toilets with them, going for lunches with them. I really wonder, why is this necessary in the toilet? Why is this necessary in the toilet? You cannot relieve yourself even without that. So we have moved into the cyber world, I guess. So those are various. Somebody has written something. So a lady is writing, when I'm 17 to 20, I used to be like that. And once I realized my health and my happiness is important, I stopped taking pictures. What pictures? And never posted. Yeah. Enjoying food is very, very important. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shravan. I have got some terms for you people. Let me show certain terms. Because we are speaking of all anomalies, pathologies, kind of. I wanted to bring it to our discussion today, especially these terms. Hikikomori, not hikiki, hikikomori. Must have heard about this. FOMO is a popular one, which many of us are experiencing. Hikikomori is something like a syndrome, which is wherein the individuals are trying to maintain the social distance, not of that kind which we saw in the pandemic, etc. Here, the people are trying to maintain their loneliness They are trying to be secluded, social secludedness. For whatever reasons, I mean, this is one of the major pathologies that we are observing now. Psychologists, psychiatrists, social science experts, anthropologists, medical personnel, we are trying to work on this particular term that has emerged from Japan, where because of some reason or the other, people are trying to make themselves secluded from the rest of the world. And one of the things is the social media. One of the things is technology. You're not going out, you're not meeting people, you're not playing, you're not talking to anybody. And that is where Japan has come up with this a specialized mechanism where certain experts are trying to go talk to the children and ending people, bringing them out. So in an interview, somebody from Philippines was saying this, we don't have that problem because if at all we would want to seclude ourselves in a room, our mother will come literally drag us out and push us out of the house. When cultures become more individualistic, all these problems come. I also wanted to bring it to you people because I have seen young people, even the people preparing for civil services. In the recent interview preparations also, I saw some of the students because they started getting secluded all by themselves when they were studying, locking themselves in the room, etc. Not for a few months, for a couple of years, when you are so very secluded from the rest of the world. And you start feeling that fear of meeting people, talking to people. This is very, very dangerous. That is one. And other problems, fear of missing out. You do not want to miss out anything on the social media. And for the fear, you are not going to Mount Everest, you are not going to, Munnar or anywhere else. Your friends are going, and you at least want to virtually go there, and hence you are not coming out of the social media. You are literally there. I think that is also one major problem people are having. I mean, some of the students, of late I'm seeing them starting to use very basic mobile phones, starting to be away from any kind of social media so that you're not distracted. You would want to pursue your career in a proper direction, kind of. So these are the people who are trying to get out of that, FOMO kind of a syndrome. Cyberbullying is something else, that it's altogether a different kind of field with which, I mean, we are trying to battle. This is also where, people coming from different social sciences are coming together, trying to handle. The reason why I'm speaking about all this is not as an anthropologist who is trying to blow the trumpet that anthropologists are necessary. No, but then cultural understanding is very, very important. I mean, one of our friends, Gopi Chand, somebody into digital anthropology, you would also be able to respond on that. Um, we actually have to understand different cultures when we are trying to introduce technologies. That is where also digital anthropology becomes very much essential. Before we actually go to talk more on the other things, I request our technical team to conduct a small quiz. Somebody else has written a few things. Digital anthropology, nanotech anthropology, cyborg anthropology. And we post a picture, people might feel jealous. Human feel happiness after me. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yes, yes, yes. You post a picture which is untrue, so that your friends are jealous. Yes. Indians decorate our houses more outside and hall to show up others, and foreigners decorate their bedrooms more than the hall. Maybe, yeah. And that shows our personalities, our national character, basically. Culture character or national character. So, are our technical people there? Can we have
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
can have, yeah.
So, good morning, everyone. So, I hope you are enjoying today's webinar on digital anthropology. My name is Tarani, and I'll be facilitating interactive quiz sessions during this webinar. So, keep the energy high. Now, I'll be sending you the link of the quiz. So this quiz will have totally of 15 questions and each question will have 4 options. You can pick one and you'll have 30 seconds to answer each question. The faster you answer correctly, the higher you score. So be quick and accurate. So at the end of the quiz, we will check the leaderboard who is leading. So all the best to everyone. I've shared the link in the chat. So you can open and start writing the quiz. I hope everyone can see the link.
All done?
Yes, ma'am. So great, everybody. Now this is the leaderboard. Congratulations to Mr. Nikhil and Mr. Miftah Nazar. I hope you enjoyed the quiz. So we have another chance also to win during the second quiz at the end of the meet. So let's meet again then. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Taruna.
Thank you.
Yeah. This was only a MCQ kind of a thing. In fact, we will be having a number of webinars of this kind in the future, where apart from having MCQs, I wanted because that'll pinpointedly tell us whether you know something in fact, or you have understood a concept with the clarity or not. But we will also be having some such webinars where we will try to generate an answer for the subjective kind of a question that in the later sessions we will be having. Let me come back to where I have actually stopped. Basically, we were there. We were talking about evolution. 3 major terms there: anthropology of contemporary. That's the current one. I mean, those of you who were asking for some names of anthropologists, these are the basic minimum names that you should be knowing. Miller and Slater have become the household names now with digital anthropology. Cyber anthropology or cyborg anthropology was at the time of Escobar, where human and technology, these two, their impact was being studied. Digital anthropology is much more wider when compared to cyborg anthropology. In the case of cyber anthropology or cyborg anthropology, we basically were trying to look at the impact of technology on human and the interconnection, like how that transformers kind of a thing, where you see that there's an introduction of technology within the body of the human and how exactly the interconnection is. You remember the neo-evolutionary writer such as Leslie White. In the Leslie White's theory, he mentions this, that there's something called technological determinism. Our ideologies are dependent on the technology, he says. That is nothing but cyber anthropology or cyborg anthropology. In digital anthropology, what happens is, it is not simply the interconnection between culture and technology. How cultures are getting adapted to technologies, number one. Secondly, if at all you would want to introduce a technology into a culture, what kind of modifications are needed? This is the second major thing. So if at all I'm introducing a new mobile phone into a new market, what kind of changes I should be making in order to introduce this product into the new market? This is one. Meaning, what is happening now is, in otherwise homogeneous culture, there are so many variants within. So, pluralistic culture in a homogeneous culture. Look at that. Pluralistic culture in an otherwise homogeneous culture. This looks very paradoxical, basically. We are all using same kind of technologies, no? Same kind of social medias we are using. At the same time, we also have so much of diversity within. So I want to introduce a product. I want to introduce an automobile. But in order for my automobile to get an acceptance into a new market, what are the changes that I should be making? That is where culturologists come into picture. I hope you understood now. So if somebody is building a kind of a software product you are building, and in order for my software product to be accepted by people, what are the kind of fonts that I should be using, what color coding I should be using, what kind of themes I should be incorporating, so that my product can be accepted by people in that particular community. This is where culturologists come into picture. That is one of the jobs of digital anthropologists. Second thing, one of the major aspects that I wanted to bring home today is something called digital divide. This has become a major area of discussion. All of us do accept that when you know digitalization of economy had happened in India, initially there was so much of hue and cry. People saying that we are uh, illiteracy stricken country. Not only poverty by economics, we had poverty by literacy and education. How is it that we would be successful in incorporating this digital money? And amazingly, every nook and corner of the country started using the digital currency. So digital India is something that came as a surprise, uh, not only for the people, for the academicians, for economists and government also. The speed with which people have accepted this is really tremendous. In spite of this, what is it that has to be done? Where is it that we are lacking? We will be trying to come to that conclusion a little while later. Now, let me give a recap of what we have spoken till now so that the rest of the talk would be comfortably be done. We majorly had spoken about the scope of digital anthropology. The second part will be an extension of the scope of digital anthropology. Second thing is, what were various schools of thought of the Esther years of anthropology, so classical anthropological concepts and theories, which are still relevant today. And that is where we were speaking about the very traditional Boasian anthropology, Levi Strauss, and then we spoke about people like Margaret Mead and Geertz that are still relevant. And Geertz comes much, much closer to the contemporary digital anthropology, where we were trying to use various ways of communicating to people. And what are the uses of digital anthropology? That is where we are trying to look at it. Now, in this process, let me take you to something slightly on the technical side. A couple of other names also you can see there in Anthropology of Contemporary, that is Marcus, Contemporary Anthropology. Most of us have come across these, many of us have used them. So, what are the various tools that are used in digital ethnography? So, in conducting research, when we were speaking about visual anthropology, now we have come of age in this. We have started to use different other tools in order to get to the data. You remember when you were studying the basics of anthropology, book view and field view of anthropology. This is something that we had spoken about. And that's where we said, you have to go to the field. Field anthropology is very, very much important so that you get the realistic ethnography kind of. And now we have something else. We are trying to conduct research, not literally going to the field, but field is walking to our desk. And that is where we are trying to conduct interviews, virtual interviews we are trying to do. And COVID has given a big boost to this kind of research where we started to take interviews. Now also we are trying to get in touch with one another through the Zoom platform. I mean, we are using this. And other social media analytics are there, that may be Facebook or Twitter, blah, 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 kind of things where we are trying to study the cultural expressions. What are the trends? How exactly cultures are changing? And that is where anthropologists are joining all these social platforms so that they know the people, they know the culture, various other techniques also, analytics also. We are also trying to use sentiment analysis. I mean, that's where emotions and attitudes are also trying to be concluded on. And I think that is where we are trying to deal with the two worlds, two realities, virtual and augmented realities. So we have become a subject of study, so much a subject of study. At one point of time, we heard people criticizing anthropologists, saying that uh, you are trying to make the subject something like the zoo exhibits. You want to study people as something in the laboratory, guinea pigs in the laboratory. Are we not offering ourselves as guinea pigs to companies and academicians? So that is where I actually was wondering, where is our privacy ending? Have we not opened every other platform, every other person, every other company to peep into our personal life? I think we have compromised heavily on what we call the privacy. So I was trying to ask this question to the young people. What is more important to you? Is privacy or freedom? Privacy or freedom? Privacy or technology? Now, technology is thriving much more when we have compromised on privacy. So technology is thriving when we have compromised on privacy. So is it that we want more of technology, less of privacy? I think we stopped long time back craving for our privacy. We are willingly offering our secrets to people. What is happening in the secret corners of the bedroom? Why people should know? But we are exhibiting all those home tours. Why the hell you expose yourself so much to people? But yeah, we are ready to compromise on this. We are willingly giving our locations to Google and various other platforms. They know where we are going, what we are ordering in terms of food, what our tastes are, what our likes are, what our dislikes are, who our friends are. Everything about you people know. So, in order to study people, now the researcher need not physically has to go to the field. Now, participant observation by the researcher is in a different kind. Now you are joining the Facebook group or various other groups. Now you are watching, being a member in the social group, how the others are behaving, what lies are, what true lies are, what truths are. Now, digital anthropologist is trying to conduct research in two ways. One is the researcher joining the social media platform and trying to get the information from there. This is one step. The other step is the researcher going to the field and trying to see the actual field. So now you see the difference. What the people are trying to offer on the social media and what they are in the real world. And now you see the difference between the virtual reality and the analog reality. Now the researcher, the digital anthropologist has some other task now. Now we have to understand why is it that people are trying to present themselves in a particular manner? Why is it that two different truths are there? You understand me? I know this brings us to a philosophical level. For the people who are trying to question whether anthropology is still necessary to be studied, this is where the necessity is. Freedom is more important, but governance and in general, people should be ethical and responsible to ensure the privacy so that freedom can be exercised effectively. ये तो गोल 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 घूम रहा है मुफ्ता. This is called beating around the bush. And that is where we are. In the digital world, in the binary opposites, zeros and ones, human is caught up in the confusion whether I should choose a zero or one. When you say that, no, their freedom is important to what extent? Privacy has to be observed with some kind of responsibility. When we are saying all this, machine doesn't understand. Machine understands in yes and no only. That is where we are trying to train the machines so that एक वो था Where human becomes necessary is that in the post-humanistic era, we tried to train the machines, but then the kind of human touch is missing. I understand that you people also accept this fact that these days when I'm giving questions to students and when they are trying to present answers, they are trying to take the help of some kind of a AI mechanism. They are trying to generate answers in the AI and trying to submit to them as if I don't understand. I am the teacher of the school where you are studying. So if you're trying to present answers, I know pretty much well that you are trying to cut, copy, and paste. Don't do that. Use the technology, no doubt. But then where is the human touch? When I say that there has to be an emotion, train the tool in emotion. If at all you want the machine to give you the answer, train the machine so that it will give the necessary emotions as a part of your answer. Ultimately, human is indispensable. That's what human touch, whether in the governance or in any kind of decision that you take, human touch becomes important. You cannot undermine the importance of existence of human. एक दिन ऐसा भी आएगा कि we need not be physically present and we are represented by some kind of technological image of ourselves. I really wonder how families are going to survive then, when you do not distinguish between the machine machine and the human. The machine is that very chitty story of Rajinikanth, when he made that movie, people laughed at it. And much, much later, we see that that is becoming the reality. So the machine with whom you are having the dinner that evening, thinking that that is your husband, ultimately you realize that that is the machine. So the future generations are going to be much more confusing. The times are going to be very, very difficult. Right now, we don't have that problem. We have altogether different other kinds of problems. The problem now we have is of a different kind. The confusion between privacy and technology. This is number one. Where digital technologies, where cultural studies are going to be of help. Governments have to come up with the rules to be framed in order to maintain the privacy and also ensure the freedom. That is what digital anthropological policies. US government has come up with the digital anthropological policies. In our case, we still have to incorporate them. I think that's where governments, especially in the Eastern world and the Southern world, we have to incorporate. We have to incorporate the social scientists in framing these rules. Unfortunately, we are not using them. I think that is where the universities have to come forth. Technological fields have to incorporate more and more social scientists in their research, because we have seen that in certain regions of the world, when social media platforms, etc., when they are trying to hire culturologists, the private sector is hiring culturologists. Governments also have to hire the policies of social scientists. That is something that is unfortunate. We are losing on. We are losing on it. Second thing is, in the field of cultural divide, social divide or cultural divide as we call, there is one term which I wanted to bring to you, that is not simply digital divide, but digital inclusion. So digital divide and digital inclusion, these are the two mirror opposites. What is required now is to address the digital divide. So that's where I was trying to bring this term to you, digital inclusion, where everyone, irrespective of their income, education, technological level, or skill, they have to get the benefit of the technology. We belong to a country, as I said to you, have successfully executed digital economy, irrespective of the level of our poverty or income, irrespective of our educational achievement, we have successfully executed Digital India. Because people have accepted what government suggested, now I think it is the responsibility of the administration, responsibility of the government to bring in those kinds of capabilities among people so that they can be included in this digital world. Just have a look at this. This is what our life is. Wherever you go in the world, whether it is Japan or Delhi or Chennai or China, wherever we go, people are so busily engrossed in those screens. Just imagine the kind of disadvantage people have, the kind of disadvantages people have. One major thing I think is infrastructure. How do you take this statement? Online behavior is as diverse as offline behavior. This is also the subject matter of digital anthropology. Do you personally see that your online behavior and offline behavior is different? Do you think that your online and offline behavior is different? Being a teacher, being somebody who has been dealing with the students both in the online and offline, I totally understand this. When you try to raise a complaint, see, technology, after all, has got its own problems. Yes, because you are anonymous, you think that you can say anything and get away. All rotten things and disrespectful terminologies people use, you need not appreciate every time, but you can be kind in bringing your dissatisfaction. Or if any issue is there, you can be polite as well. Now, the major problem that we are encountering in this contemporary generation is we do not have the necessary patience. We are not tolerant. I'm not simply talking about the comments in the platforms, but there is no patience. कुछ portal में issue हो गया, it will take time. See, like how humans have got our own health issues. Technology also, machines also have got their own oiling problems. Why are we losing this patience? That is where I think cultures have to step in. Enculturation has to step in. How much time parents are giving to their children in training the children in dealing with these things? That you have to be slightly patient. Neither the parents have time to, help the child dealing with these technology. You must have seen this, right? Very young fellows, 1.5, 2 years fellows, have the mobile or iPad in their hand, remove the iPad for a second, they are mad. All of us are like that. Just imagine you surviving without any kind of internet or connectivity for 24 hours. Just imagine you do not have electricity for 24 hours. You do not have internet for 24 hours. You have to survive without that. Difficult. Within 24 hours, you will divorce your wife. Because 24 hours, these families are surviving. Families are surviving without divorce because there is technology. There is a respite from your partner. You need not have to bear your partner 24 hours. You need not have to take care of the child 24 hours of the day. You are able to survive because of this technology. I tell you something. This I did not schedule for the day, but then I will tell you. Somebody has written, Ram has written something. Tech tools are negatively impacting our socialization, resulting in anti. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The other day I was reading this. One gentleman in Andhra had chopped his wife into pieces and cooked her, kind of. Don't know what kind of vices with which you are living. नहीं ये नहीं, मुझे कुछ और बोलना था. National sanitization campaign has made it a reality in India that most of the households have got their own toilets. If not individually, you are having your own toilet, there's a sharing toilet. Toilets are mandatory for us because Indians have this culture of bathing most of the time. I mean, every day, at least once you bathe. Most of the households have this culture. घर में टॉयलेट नहीं है, वॉशरूम नहीं है, आप चाहोगे community wells are there or some kind of tanks are there, canals are there where you go relieve yourself and take bath. I got a shock. Right now I'm talking to you from China, where I'm here for my own other assignments. This is a country where technology booms. But I was talking to people, the kind of divide, rich and poor gap is so huge. You can see the gap in having a toilet or not having a toilet at all. Can you believe that a huge segment of the population doesn't have a toilet in their house? I was wondering, how do you take bath? So they warm the water, they take sponge baths. And once a week or so, they go to community toilets and they take bath. How blessed India is, not having a toilet. That's unimaginable for us. Not taking bath, having that Brahmanical, roots in our culture. Taking bath is something that is very, very considered to be important for us. Unless otherwise we are sick and ailing, we don't believe in sponge bath. That doesn't give us that necessary satisfaction. We are not satisfied until we emptied 3 buckets of water. Then for us, what is important is the kind of infrastructure, yes, the kind of infrastructure that is necessary for us to use the technology. And can you imagine, we are one of the countries which has the highest bandwidth, the internet speed. We are one of the topmost countries to have that internet speed. But having competitive, but having the competitively low literacy rate. So what becomes necessary for us is to handle the kind of infrastructure, secondly, the literacy rate. So I think we are caught up in 2 different worlds. We have highest amount of freedom. We can write whatever we want, say whatever we want. We have the freedom of expression, which is extremely dangerous. So we have 2 extremes. One is the freedom and technology. Second thing is literacy. And then of course we have to, I think, once again look at enculturation process. That's very important. Caught up in the technologies and kind of artificial intelligence and all that stuff, we, I think, have lost touch with the roots, and that's what is highly significant for us, I guess. We need to take in on those lines as well. And I was coming across this one beautiful article the other day. What technological sector can actually learn from anthropology? I think this is something else. Technology should learn from anthropology. What is it that we are supposed to teach them? Basically, the first and foremost thing anthropology can teach is something called to come out of that second self phenomena. Second self phenomena, meaning in the digital world, as a culture, as an individual, we have come away from the reality. So there is a confusion. As individuals, we are confused. As cultures, we are confused. We do not know what is our reality. So I think as a cultural study, we have to bring in that right data to understand ourselves, and also as people, as personalities, as families, as societies, we have to bring to our own people. I'm not speaking about India alone. about the entire world. The world is living in an unreal plane. The multiverses, as we talk about, those multiverses which are unreal, we are living in those multiverses. I was really wondering what are the kind of problems people are facing these days. The young people have their own different problems. They're not the problems of hunger, poverty, etc. We see the kind of, even the middle classes of ours, children are worried about the technology tools. They want Xboxes and they want internet speeds. So I think we have entered the first world problems. We are not in the third world problems, but in the first world problems. I think that second self phenomena is something that we have to deal with at an individual level and at the national level. And then the second problem where anthropology can be of help is about the tyranny of data, meaning what is the kind of data that has to be collected, and what are the means through which the data has to be collected, which is the dependable data. Because you see, there are different ways, statistical data is collected, you have sensors, you have various other mechanisms. And wherever we are going, people are giving questionnaires to us. We are filling the questionnaires. What is the authenticity of the questionnaires? We are taking those questionnaires as if they are true. You go to a shopping mall, they are giving you questionnaires, you are filling and giving to them. And so many times I also ask my students to give me the feedback of my own class, and feedback in a secret sense. How authentic our feedbacks are. So I think that's what I call tyranny of data. Data has to be dependable. We will have to identify various mechanisms, culture, belief, values, all these things have to be taken into account when we have to get the right data. Processing is a different thing. And what has to be the right approach to get information from the field? As somebody had written, the human touch. We don't have time to talk to people as if we go and ask them, and we think that it is their responsibility to give us the information. Why will they give the information? I know how much time I spend in the field talking to people, simply sitting with them without talking, just to know what are the kinds of issues they are facing. I was saying this to one of the batches recently. I was talking to university people in here in Beijing, and how different students have responded to this question, because I wanted to know what freedom meant to people in this part of the world. And I was trying to categorize the answers, and I really loved 2 or 3 answers. For one stock of people, the young people, for them, freedom is to have that ability to browse, to see the other part of the world in the internet. Because there are so many filters, they do not know what's happening in the other part of the world. And we are so fortunate. There are no filters. Of course, they're here and there, but then majorly no filters. We are having that absolute freedom. So for these young men, freedom to browse is something that is required for them. And there is one other answer which I really loved, is that a lady was saying that we do not have any privacy at all. What our life is, party knows, everybody knows. Where we are spending, what we are spending on, everything people know, and absolutely there is no privacy. And I think there has to be some kind of a boundary where we can say that, yes, this is our private space. And one person, I really loved that answer that touched my heart, is that the lady was saying that we don't understand your question when you say that what freedom meant to you. She says we don't understand the question. because we cannot mentally conceive freedom. We never saw it. We never saw it. And hence we cannot actually imagine what you're saying. I'm saying this because this will help us value our own freedoms in our country. Whether that is the real freedom, analog freedom, or virtual freedom. We are bestowed with every damn kind of a freedom in our country. We don't value. We have to understand, I say this many times in the class also, that our freedom ends where others' nose starts. We have to know the boundaries. We have to execute our freedom within the respectful boundaries. Somebody had written financial freedom for few. Freedom is to explore world. Yeah. Boldly questioning also, yes. Mike ఉంది కదా అని ప్రతి ఒక్కరిని అడుగుతా ఉంటాను. So one fine day when you become officers, when you are on the other side of the mic, how exactly you are going to answer, you will have to look at from that point of view also. And in the other ways where technology has to learn from anthropology is the ethical guidance, meaning of conscience, code of conduct is something that is very important. When technology is entering every nook and corner of the lives of people, so in different countries, in different cultures, you will have to know to what extent technology can enter the people's lives. So I think that is where cultural studies are important. Don't be careful, freedom in aspects that we definitely. Whenever there is a restriction, we crave for freedom. So it's something like this. As children, as you are growing up also, when your mother says, don't do this, you would want to do that. Wherever there is a restriction, see, if 100 things are there, 100 objects are there in your house, 99 objects are given to you. Your mother said you play with it, you do whatever you want with these 99, but that one thing you don't touch. That's what God said to Adam also. Don't eat this fruit, all the rest of fruit are there for you. But then what did Adam do? He ate only that fruit. So it is but human. True. Whenever we say no for something, our mind says yes for it. So I think this is the fight between flesh and spirit. And hence, in the subject of anthropology, what technological companies have to know is the cultural reality. Cultural reality. So digital anthropology in general and anthropology in particular can help us understand the do's and don'ts based on the value system, based on the cultures. I think the code of conduct, ethical training is necessary for technologies. That is the reason where anthropologists are being hired by the companies. How exactly we can penetrate into those markets? They can be understood through culturology. And yeah, when it comes to our own, Indian problem, our problem is twofold. I mean, basically, I wanted to also speak of something else. That is, when we say digital ethnographies, etc., where exactly digital ethnographies were facing a problem. Major problem that we are facing is like how I was saying a little while ago, if at all we were totally depending on the digital content, the problem of understanding which is the reality, which is the fake, even academicians were facing a problem, especially in the COVID time when research was happening mostly online. This was the issue. Fabricated evidences, fabricated facts. We do not know which is the reality, etc. So basically, digital ethnography also faced that problem. And when it comes to, I should be concluding the whole thing with this, that is, being administrators, future administrators and bureaucrats, you should know this, that infrastructure, basic infrastructure has to be developed. How much ever technologically, digitally we have grown, what we have to give to the people is that square meal. As long as we do not give that square meal, as long as we do not give them the basic facilities of safe water, safe drinking water, and the basic kind of infrastructure facilities, how much ever, digitally you have grown, I think that the divide will continue to be there. I think that is where I'm concluding. But before we go, I want one more small quiz to be conducted. Are we there, Tarini?
Yes, sure. So this is the second quiz. So now it's the rules were same, but this quiz has only 10 questions and the time for each question is 45 seconds. So let me share the link. That is so now let's take a look into our leaderboard. Congratulations, Mr. Gaurav and Shravan. Thank you everyone for doing those two quizzes. I hope you guys enjoyed. And congratulations to the winners in both the quizzes. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarini, for helping us out.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Before I close, I wanted to say this. Last year, there was this workshop we had done in one primary school when some of you were my students, which I shared that experience with you. Basically, it is to understand how, the enculturation, how it is impacting them. That was the whole thing. So basically, it was asking them to make some drawings and paintings. What we found at the end was that in the paintings and pictures which children were drawing, there is so much of violence. That's the commonality. I mean, in several of those pictures, we could see, red color, kill, kill kind of writings, and then so much of bloodshed and all that stuff. And what we could figure out was that all that coming from the kind of social media exposure, the kind of movies and various other things children were watching, that has become so very common in their expression. So I think bloodshed, death, kind of things did not matter much for them. I mean, they're not something great. That has become a commonality in their imagination. So that is proof enough to show that enculturation has changed so much. So I think families have to be in once again revisiting. They should be once again revisiting into the enculturation process, how exactly they are training the children, etc. And that is where I think governments also, administration also, bureaucracy also has to look at the enculturation process, because after all, these are the young ones. The Gen Z are the ones that are going to rule the world tomorrow. I think they have to be properly grounded. They have to be given that kind of code of conduct once again. And thank you so much, all of you, for being a part of this webinar. Anything that you would want to say before I close? Anything you would want to say before I close? Couple of statements which you would want to you conclude rather than me concluding. Definitely, Shravan, we will be having many
Madam,
more content
yeah.
sessions.
Yes, madam.
Sir.
Yeah, it's very great session, madam. I have got a lot of information regarding digital anthropology. So I understand a lot of things in that area. Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Vandan. Thank you. We will be having many more sessions like this, which are more contemporary. For that one odd question in your exam, that might hamper your selection. Basically, for that odd question, we will be having these sessions, especially for the senior students who might have done your preparation in the last couple of years, who would be looking forward to have exposure to the current kind of questions. So thank you so much. Thank you. Monthly, at least one session. Definitely, madam. Definitely, Kalyani. Definitely, we will looking forward to have. And eventually, we will be fixing the day also. First Saturday, second Saturday, like that. I was thinking on those lines. the students know that, okay, on this particular day, definitely we are going to have one kind of contemporary topic being discussed. Have a good time. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dharani and team. Thank you, team of Sosin IAS Academy. Have a good time. Thank you, all of you students, whoever have joined. All names I couldn't actually say out. I'm so sorry. Thank you.